to the office of Senator Prince Moye Sr., Senator of Bong County and Chairman of the Senate Committee on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget. Why out of the country? On a tour of East Africa and Asia, the representative of District Number 7, Nimba County, Honorable Musa Bility, visited Bong County in the absence of the senator because the senator was away, and he made lots of wide and sweeping allegations. In fact, he firstly claimed that the senator was not using his position as chairman of the Senate Committee on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget to sway developments to Bong County and some gentlemen in the county, even more than what the senator, was prepared to do, indicating that if the senator would pay 5 miles of road, he would be prepared to pay up to 20 miles of road. If the senator built a bridge, he will build 2 bridges and so on and so forth. But these allegations can be loud, they can be noisy, but we have to look out for the substance, within them. But there is something that we want to point out here. It seems like Representative Bility lacks fundamental understanding of legislative governance. Because if you look at the role of the chairman of the Committee on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget at the Senate, the budget is the largest financial instrument that the country uses, to run the affairs of government. And if you look at the function of the chair, of that committee, he's not just trying to meet the needs and demands of one county, such as Bong County, as much as he loves Bong County, and he will do everything within his powers to ensure that Bong County gets what it duly deserves. He has a responsibility to cater for the needs of all Liberians through the budget. And he's never reneged on that. He's always been at the forefront of, working with everyone within the financial management sector, to ensure that budgetary allocations are made to institutions and organizations that are providing services for the Liberian people. And this has to be holistic. It can be a county-centric activity such that the senator has to, sway all of the money in the budget for the development of Bong County only because he's from Bong County. He's a state man, and he wants, as little as the budget might be, this year is 880 million plus, and salaries have to be paid for everyone in every institution across the country. Government has to function, and the senator has been busy working with stakeholders, with the LRA, even doing the budget formulation process with the Ministry of Finance, with the CBL, to identify, particularly with the LRA, additional sources of revenue, to expand, the budget and give opportunities to a lot more Liberians. And so, that's his function. So, when a representative goes to a county, and at a groundbreaking ceremony, claim that the chairman of the committee, is not doing much, to ensure that the budget, is used to develop Bong County, I think that is disingenuous to the Liberian people. I think it's really unfortunate. And I think it's indicative of the fact that Representative Bility is still in the learning stage. He's trying to learn basic rudimentary elements of what political and legislative governance requires, especially as it relates to how these committees function. He went on to indicate that oh, I can do a lot. I have a lot of money. I can bring development. But Senator Moye has been in the county, and he's been contributing to developmental initiatives, within the county and beyond for more than 2 decades now. He's been making tangible impacts in the areas of education, healthcare, infrastructure development, the building of and reconditioning of roads, of bridges. He's been contributing to women and youth empowerment. He's been contributing to security, justice, and the rule of law, to good governance initiatives. He's even personally been able to establish institutions, that have provided employment opportunities for, hundreds of Liberians. So that's something that has been a part of his life, and as servant of the people, he intends to continue on that trajectory. He wants to keep serving his people in the best way possible, and the way he sees it is from a bottom to top approach. He wants to work with local people to identify the most critical challenges facing them, and subsequently respond to those challenges, in appropriate manners, and so he doesn't see himself as, the only key to development. In fact, he welcomes the ideas, of other citizens of the county and outsiders, like Representative Bility as well, right? He wants these people to come, but come with respect for the people, because when you were claiming to be undertaking development initiatives in the interest of the people, then the people become the most important stakeholders, because they are the beneficiaries, and if they are the most important stakeholders, then the issues that matter to their daily lives must be of paramount concern to you. I know he's claiming that his development projects, or his proposed development projects, will be self-pay projects, meaning he will do those projects for them now, and he will expect them to reward him with their votes in 2029. But it is them that are being affected by the circumstances surrounding them. And so when you go to them, have some regard for them, and have dialogues with them, include them in these processes, and that's what the senator wants. He wants people from all walks of life who can invest in Bong County, who can support, development of different kinds, who can ensure that young people go to school, who can ensure that infrastructural development takes place, who can ensure that, education is advanced and healthcare is improved. He wants everybody on board, both Bong County citizens, and people like Musa Bility, who come from outside of the county. And so just do it with, a little bit of respect, at least for the people, whom you claim you want to deliver. And so, it all stands back to the LPRC storage facility, stuff. It's been a major topic around town, and all of you in the press, you've been following this. And Representative Bility, as a businessman, and I'm happy that, he's been a businessman for all these years, being a part of the Liberian economy. But, when you do business, one of the core values of being a businessman is to deal honestly, right? And give your partners and clients that which they deserve, while you get your portion of, your benefit. And so, the petroleum storage facilities that are owned by Channel Union, has been operated by Representative Bility for the last 10 years, from 2015 up to now. And, on record, LPRC has it that Representative Bility has amassed more than $42.7 million from, petroleum storage fees. What he's done with said money, he cannot explain. There's no contract to that effect that he signed with China Union and with LPRC being a party. The government and the Liberian people have not benefited any of this 42.7 million plus that we're talking about. Amounts that should have been remitted to China Union have not been remitted to China Union. So this has been a one-man show kind of thing, and Representative Bility over the years, has been protected by past governments, and this government has come and said, it's not going to be business as usual, we're ensuring that the Liberian people henceforth get what they duly deserve. And so, we're going to revisit the petroleum storage fee thing, and readjust, components of the storage fee, and, I think that is just fair because the people in our villages, in the southeast, in the western region of our country, in the north, they need facilities, they need their roads to be better off, and so some of these monies are supposed to be going towards, those kinds of initiatives. And so the government is taking very bold and decisive actions, to ensure that, this exploitative approach by Representative Bility does not continue, and that the Liberian people going forward start to receive fair share of petroleum storage fee. And Senator Moye has absolutely no regret, to have worked with his colleagues in the Senate to advance, this cause on behalf of the Liberian people, and, he would have done so, with anyone, not only Representative Bility, since, it benefits the Liberian people. And so, if you're angered, if you are grieved by this action of the Senate, to revisit the allocation of petroleum storage fee, you can turn it on Senator Moye, okay? You can turn on him and start to go at him like, he's only working for the country and working for his people, and because some of these monies should have actually been remitted to China Union. China Union is due to remit $1.5 million to Bong County every year, and from 2015 up to 2025, if China Union were remitting $1.5 million to Bong County, that would be $15 million. A lot of the local projects that take place in Bong County come from our county and social development funds. Okay, we're supposed to receive county and social development funds from China Union, from Asala Metal, from M&G Gold. That money goes to the central government, and then central government, in turns, give the county what it is due as per the MDA, signed with these companies, and so China Union has not been remitting that money. They're in a bad economic state, because of the actions of people like Representative Musa Bility, who's being shielded, or who was in the past being shielded, by some of the power that be. So it has affected our country. So indirectly, Representative Bility has been stalling development within our country, which is so unfortunate and disingenuous to the people of Bong County. And I want to say, we can continue on this path. Something has to be done. And so, China Union claims that they've remitted up to $5 million of the $15 million they should have remitted between 2015 and 2025. But even at that, financial records, the county financial system does not even show that the county has received that amount of money. So maybe it's still in transit with the central government or so, but yeah, the previous government and so, but definitely $15 million is a lot and can take care of a lot of development in our county, coupled with what we receive from other concessionaires operating within, the bailiwick of the county. So, it's unfortunate that, Senator Representative Bility's actions continue to stall development of our county, because if your actions cause Channel Union, which is one of our biggest, concessionaires in the country, if your action causes them to not be able to remit what they should be remitting as per their MDA, then it actually affects the development priorities of our county. And I want to state emphatically and categorically clear that Senator Moye wants the best for all Liberians, and Representative Bility, as former head of FIFA, should actually know, not FIFA but the LFA, okay, should actually know what, a level playing field is. Okay, so when you create a situation where you can squander resources, out of the hands of the country, and then parade the corridors of counties and districts, and claim to have money that you can spend here and there, but that's money that belongs to the people, right? The people are supposed to have this money, and determine what their priorities are through their government, but you've denied them of these over the years. And then you have such money, you go around and you throw challenges, but the people you throw in challenges to, you don't have any record, that they've squandered resources like you've done. You've squandered resources that belong to the people like you've done. So there's no level playing field there, okay? Senator Moye is a public servant, he serves the people, he manages public resources, he allocates public resources to the benefit of the people, and that's what he does. He doesn't have, extra, millions of dollars that he's gotten, illegally through his business deals, to be in those kinds of challenge with people. So, if Representative Bility is able to pay the $42.7 million plus, that he's amassed over the years from 2015, if he's able to remit that money, back to the government, for fair distribution across the population, and for, undertaking development initiatives, obviously Senator Moye will be happy to, take on the challenge with him, and where does it go? He doesn't go anywhere. And somebody was like, Representative Bility has thrown up a challenge. So I did the research to see what were his developments in Bong County, and I found nothing, So I'm like, what am I going to be comparing Senator Moye's achievements with? What developments do Representative Bility have in Bong County, that I'm going to be comparing, all of the undertakings of Senator Moye to? There's nothing there to compare. This is somebody who is making promises. He's come and he said, I want to build bridges, I'm prepared to, build schools and hospitals and roads, but get those things done. You start to get them done, let people start to feel the impact of your work, then we start to talk. But to just come and make those kinds of sweeping allegations, against a senator who has worked for his people, who has overwhelmingly won 3 successive elections in the county, by an overwhelming majority, why, you should ask yourself, why are his people electing him from time to time? And so, I'd like to use this opportunity to caution, Representative Bility, in a respectful way, but he needs to be cautioned. Okay, Bong County is a very unique place. It's a place where everyone is accommodated, where everyone is welcome, especially people who want to come and contribute to the development of the county, and not only him, we welcome every other person, whether they are political actors or not. We want them to come, and collaborate with us so that we work in the interest of our people. But when you come and you have absolutely nothing on the ground, absolutely nothing, you have absolutely nothing on the ground, and you start to make wide claims and allegations, against state men and state women who have contributed immensely to the development of the county over the years, then I think it's unfair, and you need to be cautioned. And so this caution goes to Representative Bility, and the people of Bong County are united for a common cause, for their own development and progress, and for the upliftment of their county, and they will not allow anyone to come from anywhere and sow discord and seeds of divisions and come up with divisive political rhetorics, only for their own benefits and their own political aggrandizement, and so this is definitely a caution. Representative Bility needs to tread cautiously going forward. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, so thank you so much. My name is Maurice Oleti, and I report for OKFM. It's good to hear from you this afternoon. Representative Bility thinks that the government, particularly through Senator Prince Moye, is trying to witch hunt him. According to him, evidenced by the recent decision to reduce the prices of major commodities in terms of, for example, petroleum products, and also the agreement he had with the LPRC about the storage at the facility of the LPRC. How do you respond to that? Because he said Senator Prince Moye is trying to use, or the government is trying to use Senator Prince Moye to witch hunt him.
And that is quite laughable, okay? And, I think the government will go a step further in holding Representative Bility accountable for, everything that has transpired in terms of how he's amassed, wealth overnight from petroleum storage fees, right? Because the details are there, okay? LPRC, there's no contract to that effect where LPRC says you can collect, 25 cents, 30 cents, 35 cents, per gallon from, petroleum storage, and that money is exclusively for you. Okay, the storage facilities aren't even yours, right? They were given to you. There were political interventions, and that's so he's been thriving on these kinds of political privileges at the detriment of the Liberian people, which is so unfortunate. Who gave him this right? Who gave him these privileges? Who said to him, just take over China Union's petroleum, storage facilities, and you can get 35 cents on each gallon of petroleum product, and all that money is for you. Where's the contract? Where is the formal agreement? Who were parties to that agreement? It was just some higher ups in the previous regime, who insisted that he be given that privilege and he be given such leverage, and he takes it as something that's for him. But that's so dishonest. That's so unfair to the Liberian people. And, within the wisdom of this government, the Senate is enough. This money does not belong to Representative Bility in any way, in any form, in any manner, etc., etc., etc. You know, this money does not belong to him. It belongs to the Liberian people. And so we're taking steps now to ensure that what belongs to the Liberian people goes towards, you know, addressing some of their needs.
Okay.
I represent Liberia being a lawmaker of Nema County. In his recent interaction with the people of Bong County, claiming to carry on development in Bong County instead of focusing on District 7 Nema County. How do you look at that?
You know, he has an intent, right? And his intent is really clear, because the intent is that, just from the previous question, he feels that, you know, Senator Prince Moye, who is the political leader in the county, you know, the currently the biggest political figure in the county, you know, was very instrumental in ensuring that he did not continue to unjustly and unfairly receive 100% of petroleum storage cost. And he thinks this is a big blow to him, and Senator Moye was greatly involved with ensuring that, you know, this is revisited, this is adjusted, you know, and that what belongs to the government and the Liberian people goes to them. So he's grieved, he's angered, and he's trying to retaliate, you know, but you know, that's not going to help.
Why is he retaliating? That's what I want to know.
So he's coming up, you know, because there are lots of development in projects to be undertaken in Bong County, you know, and if he even comes, we can show him like 50 bridges that we need to be built all over the place. We have hundreds of miles of roads that need to be rehabilitated. He just needs to ask us, say, you know, I want to contribute to the development of your county, and you know, and we'll give him all the privileges and all the support to do so. But to come when you've not even brought one yellow machine to the county to even start any development, you know, then you start to throw jabs and insult leaders of the county who have worked assiduously hard, you know, to foster development within the county. You know, I think, you know, that's retaliation that borders on anger and grief.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.